Have you ever felt like you're just not smart enough? Like no matter how hard you try, you're always a step behind everyone else? If so, this story is for you. It's about a boy named Rohan, and it might just change the way you see yourself. Meet Rohan. He was in grade 8, and he carried a heavy belief, a label he had placed on himself. I'm bad at studies. It was like a dark cloud that followed him everywhere. Every single time he tried to open his books, his mind would feel heavy, almost like it was shutting down. The pages would blur and the words would jumble into a language he couldn't understand. The pressure was immense. At home, his father's words often stung more than any bad grade. "Why can't you be like the others? You're just not trying hard enough." These phrases echoed in his ears, reinforcing his own fears. At school, it was no better. His classmates would tease him, calling him slow, making jokes when he couldn't answer a question in class. The laughter felt like tiny daggers, chipping away at his already fragile confidence. Soon, Rohan began to believe them all. He started to think that something was fundamentally wrong with him. Maybe his brain was wired differently. Maybe he was just ... broken. This thought became his reality. He stopped trying to participate in class, avoided asking questions, and dreaded the moment a teacher would call his name. He was trapped in a cycle of fear and failure, all fueled by the idea that he simply wasn't smart enough. He wasn't just struggling with schoolwork, he was struggling with his own identity. One afternoon, feeling more lost than ever, Rohan found himself sitting in the school counselor's office. The room was quiet, and the counselor, a kind woman with gentle eyes, didn't push or prod. She simply created a safe space. After a few moments of silence, she asked him a question that cut through all the noise in his head. "Rohan," she said softly, "what makes you feel the most stuck?" For the first time, someone was asking him how he felt, not what his grades were. The question hung in the air. Rohan looked down at his hands, his voice barely a whisper as he confessed his deepest fear. "When I don't understand things as fast as the others," he said, his voice trembling slightly, "I feel stupid." He expected a lecture. He expected advice about studying harder. Instead, the counselor simply smiled. It wasn't a pitying smile, but a warm, understanding one. "Rohan," she began, her voice calm and reassuring, "understanding slowly is not the same as being stupid. Think of it this way: some minds are like race cars. They speed through information. Others are like deep-sea explorers. They move slowly because they're going deeper. That time you take that's what allows you to think deeply." These words were like a key unlocking a door Rohan didn't even know was there. He had always seen his slowness as a flaw, a weakness. He had never considered that it could be anything else. The counselor continued, showing him that it wasn't about changing his brain, but about changing his approach. She taught him a new way to learn, a method built not on speed, but on consistency and kindness. It was about taking small, manageable steps. First, she told him to try the 10-to-2 method. Study for just 10 minutes, she explained. Then give your brain a 2-minute break. Walk around, stretch, look out the window, then come back for another 10 minutes. This seemed so simple, almost too simple. How could 10 minutes make a difference? Next, she addressed his jumbled thoughts. Don't just read, she advised. As you study, write down short notes in your own words, 1 or 2 key phrases per paragraph. This makes your brain engage with the material, not just skim over it. She also encouraged him to ask small questions. Instead of getting overwhelmed by a whole chapter, just ask yourself, what is this one paragraph trying to tell me? If you don't get it, that's your question for the teacher tomorrow. No question is too small or too dumb. And finally, the most important part. Celebrate your small wins, she said with a bright smile. Did you finish a 10-minute study block? Great job. Did you understand one difficult paragraph? That's a huge victory. Acknowledge your efforts. Be proud of yourself for trying. For the very first time in a long, long time, Rohan felt a tiny flicker of hope. Learning didn't feel like an unclimbable mountain anymore. It felt possible. He left the counselor's office not with a magic solution, but with a toolkit. A set of simple, practical strategies he could actually use. That evening, he sat down with his science textbook. The familiar dread started to creep in, but then he remembered her words. Just 10 minutes. He set a timer. For 10 minutes, he focused. He wrote down 3 short notes. When the timer went off, he stood up and stretched. He had done it. It was a small step, but it felt monumental. Weeks turned into a month, and then another. Rohan stuck with his new routine. He studied in small bursts. He filled notebooks with his short notes and simple questions. He started raising his hand in class, not always with the right answer, but with a question, and something incredible began to happen. His grades started to improve. But here's the most important part of the story. Rohan didn't suddenly become a genius overnight. His brain didn't magically get fixed. The real change, the profound, life-altering change, happened inside his own head. He stopped calling himself dumb. He stopped telling himself he was bad at studies whenever he stumbled. Whenever he didn't understand something, the old voice of self-doubt would whisper in his ear. But now a new voice, his own voice, would answer back. It didn't say, "I'm a genius." It didn't say, "This is easy." It said something much more powerful. It said, "I'm trying." And trying changed everything. Trying meant it was okay not to know. Trying meant that effort mattered more than speed. Trying meant that he was in control of his journey, not a victim of his circumstances. His father noticed the change, not just in his report card, but in his attitude. The scolding lessened, replaced by a quiet, surprised respect. Some of his classmates still teased, but their words didn't sting as much anymore. They couldn't hurt him because he no longer believed them. Rohan's story holds a powerful message that every student, parent, and teacher needs to hear. There is no such thing as a weak or dumb child. There are only children who haven't yet found the right way to learn. Every mind is unique. Some need a faster pace, some need more visuals, and some, like Rohan, need to go slowly and deeply. What they all need is a method that works for them, steady support from the people around them, and most importantly, the permission to be kind to themselves. The journey of learning isn't a race. There's no finish line. It's a personal path of growth and discovery. The biggest obstacle on that path is often the negative story we tell ourselves. If you're struggling right now, remember Rohan. Stop telling yourself you're not smart enough. Start telling yourself, I'm trying, because that single shift in mindset is where all real progress begins. You are not defined by how quickly you learn, but by your courage to keep trying. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who might need to hear it today. And don't forget to subscribe for more content that empowers and inspires. We'll see you in the next one.